from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
George Jones, George Burns, George Bush, George Benson, George C. Scott, George Reeves, George Wallace, George Hallis, George Washington Carver, George Jefferson, George Jetson, George Peppard, George Harrison, Boy George, by George, George of the Jungle, George Strait, Chris George, Linda Day George, George Patton Phyllis, George Custer, George McClellan, George Foster, George Martin, George Thorogood, George Carlin, George Hamilton, George Rapp, George Jessel, Tallulah Gorge, Susan George, Curious George, Georgie Porgy, George Clinton, George Siegel, George McGovern, Jeff George Lindsay, George Sanford Brown, George Lucas, George McCrae, George Schultz, George Mikan, Gorgeous George Jr., George Orwell, George Wendt, Bill Clinton, George Gobo.
Hey, good morning, Bill Clinton.
Was he like president when this song came out or
I
something?
have no idea. I really toyed with the idea of trying to contact this guy to find out what he did, and then I found out he's dead.
That's not easy.
Yeah, it makes it really, really hard to talk to him. Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. 572-5579, the telephone number. George Delisle here with Pete Coles, and we're all you got this morning.
Yeah, that's it.
We're it. Mike Silvestri was supposed to be here, and Mikey is under the weather. He is not feeling well. Probably. I
completely get that concept because I was out baking in the sun yesterday at Fenway Park.
Yeah.
And I forgot to turn my alarms back on. I mean, that's not an easy thing when you go to Fenway if you're from Western Mass.
Oh, no.
That's an entire day.
Yeah, and the ride home seems to be eternal. It's like
I didn't go all the way into the city though, so I did the smart thing.
Yeah.
At Riverside Station, you do not have to pay for parking on the weekends.
Okay.
So you park there, and then you take the T in.
Take the T in.
Take the Green Line in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an easy slog in, but getting out, 40,000 people leaving at once from the same place, and there's only a limited number of transit stops.
And they all parked at Riverside.
Well, apparently there's also a Bruins game at the same time.
Oh, jeez. Wonderful.
So half the people coming in on the train had Red Sox gear.
Mm-hmm.
A good amount of them had Mets gear.
Okay.
And then a small amount had Bruins gear. Because it was a preseason game.
My wife, the eternal Mets fan, threw in the towel around June.
Yeah, most people did.
Yeah,
apparently.
it was like,
My girlfriend's also a Mets fan, so.
DeGrom...
he pitched a gem yesterday.
Well, he did, but uncharacteristically, he got touched up for 3 runs early in the game. And that's not like DeGrom. He's kind of lights out most of the time. Usually what DeGrom...
There was a little bit of luck involved in that sequence.
There absolutely was.
I watched it.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll get to that now.
No, it's fine.
Go ahead.
No, good ball game. It was a good ball game. It was a fun game to watch. The good guys won.
It was
Sorry,
a game.
Tina. Yeah.
It was a game where nobody left.
No.
I mean, you couldn't.
And the Yankees did us the enormous favor of losing to the Blue Jays.
Correct.
So they are 11.5 games up on the Yankees. They are their magic number is 2.
They're 58 games up on the Orioles.
Well, yeah, and they're playing the Orioles after the Indians series, I believe.
I don't know. I'm not that big of a baseball guy.
Oh, see, I'm a big baseball guy. I'm not much of a football guy.
Right.
So I watch the I watched the Patriots.
I watched the Patriots. So the thing about Fenway, I don't know when the last time you went. For me, it's been
a long time,
7 or 8 years.
Well, I was going to say it's a long time since I've seen a ball game there. I've brought my wife there twice to see Paul McCartney.
So my thing is the last game I went, we won tickets, and I took my stepson Timmy, and it was the day that they had the hurricane come through before they collapsed, and I think it was 2011.
Okay.
So we're going there, and it's raining and pouring, and they let people. It was so bad that in the middle of the first game, they opened the gates to anybody that had a ticket for the second game because it was a doubleheader.
I seem to recall that. Okay.
So we're watching the end of the first game, Sox win, right? Great. Second game, we're about 5 innings in, and it's just, I mean, we weren't that bad because we were under the overhang. Mm-hmm. We had seats up high enough where we were under the overhang, so it wasn't too bad. But people they were just there. They were getting poured on. And we just said, we're out of here in the 5th inning. And I think they won both games, but those are the last 2 games they won in the season.
Oh.
That's when they had the massive collapse. That was the chicken and beer collapse year.
Right.
So we witnessed the last 2 games. So I haven't gone back, mostly because I think I'm a jinx. But
okay.
Let's see what happens the rest of September.
Well, you were there yesterday.
Right, exactly.
And
Mets, they won.
And the Mets lost.
Right.
So
okay. So they'll have their collapse now.
Oh, my.
No, I don't think that'll happen.
Well, all they have to do is beat the Yankees once.
And they're done, yeah.
And they're done. And that's the AL East. Now, the other number I heard, and it's a little bit more complicated, was
the
as
pennant?
of yesterday. Well, no. They beat the Yankees. They win the pennant. If they... Their magic number, I believe, is 5 games to guarantee that they will have the best record in baseball.
That's it?
Yeah, but that's home field advantage throughout.
Oh, so 5 more wins.
Right.
Basically.
Right. And they've got...
I think they could accomplish that.
I think they've 13 games remaining, something like that. They've got 3 with the Yankees, 3 with the Indians,
which would be a good team.
Or maybe 4 with the Indians, and then they have Baltimore for 3, and then the Yankees come into Fenway Park to close out the season.
To finish out?
Yeah.
I hear they're playing are they playing the Yankees in London next year?
I don't know the answer to that one.
It's either London or Far East. No, they have already done Far East. I seem to recall, and I can look this up.
They're going to go play American baseball in a place where they play cricket. Because I've watched cricket and sat there saying, I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
No,
I agree with you. I'm like, and those games can last days.
Yeah. It doesn't just seem that way. They really can.
No, they can really last. Apparently, really by the rules, last days.
I don't understand that game. I don't have the vaguest understanding of that game. It's very weird looking. They have these little paddles and they hit something that looks like a ball
Yeah,
it looks like
it's a cross between croquet, and baseball.
Yeah,
2019 Red Sox in London. Let me see. Yep, Red Sox play Yankees in London in 2019, the Boston Globe. So 2-game series, June 29th and 30th at Olympic Stadium in London.
In 2019.
Yeah, road trip.
That could be a tough ticket to get.
Well, Olympic Stadium's pretty big, so
yeah. I'd love to go to London to see. Well, I'd love to go to London. Period. Haven't been there.
I've never been across the pond. Period.
Oh,
you however, a world traveler. So
I've
and apparently more so coming.
I've got two other continents. Japan isn't a continent, but I've been to Japan.
That's Asia. Yeah,
that was phenomenal. And the worst part about the Japan trip is I had tickets to see. The Chiba something or other play. I had baseball tickets.
Yep.
And we were slightly delayed. And
you're playing, you mean?
Yeah, and it was a nonstop, but we left like an hour later than we were supposed to, and thus arrived an hour later. And by the time we got there, my daughter and I were. Hey, let's not go to the baseball game.
Right, you're shot.
We were done. We're spent.
Yeah, because that's like an 18-hour flight.
14
okay.
hour direct flight out of Boston, which was far less painful than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Japan Air has pretty comfortable aircraft, and even the cheap seats are you still get to
it's a
sleep.
long duration flight. Yeah. My mom said that about going to the Philippines.
Oh my Lord, that's got to be like 18 hours.
She changed planes in L.A., so
Okay.
it wasn't too bad.
Okay. Well, we're so coming up next month is Italy, but we're flying.
Is this a company trip or a private trip?
No, this is a vacation. This is
okay.
an actual no Kiwanis vacation, which doesn't happen very often.
You're unplugging?
We came. Gina and I went on a Caribbean cruise last spring,
I love cruising.
and coming back
Love
from the
it.
Caribbean cruise, we stopped to see her girlfriend Sue and her husband Chuck, and they live in outside of Washington.
Oh, on the drive back.
Virginia, on the drive back.
Okay.
We stopped to see them, and Sue said, "Okay, we are all retired now. Where are we going, and when are we going there?" And Chuck and I looked at our wives and told them, "Listen, you guys go figure out where we're going, and when you're done, just let us know.
We'll figure out how to pay for it?
Let us know where the trip is and how much money we got to come up with." So the two of them went off for about an hour and a half, came back and said, "Well, we're going to Italy in October." I said, "Oh, well, okay then. Going to Italy in October." So we're landing in Venice. Well, we're flying to Dublin, as I understand it. We're going from Dublin to Venice. And then we're seeing Venice and Florence and Rome and someplace called, I don't know, Lake something or other. I'm very sketchy on the details about this thing. I know there's a train involved.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
train
I love
trips.
trains. So we're just looking forward to a very nice non-Kiwanis trip. And of course, one of my Kiwanis friends said, "Oh, well, you need to contact this guy and this guy and this guy and go visit all their Kiwanis clubs." And at which
Negatory.
yeah, my wife said, "We're not doing that if you want to stay married." So I'm not stupid. Well, I am, but not about this. Anyway, hey, it's 6:15. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Discussions of local politics, events, happenings, and miscellany potpourri. That's what you'll find on Ken's Den, Tuesdays from 8 till 10.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, bye, George. It is Monday morning. George Delisle, Pete Cole's here to cheer you up and make your Monday morning and encourage you to get out of bed and give us a phone call at 572-5579.
And then look outside and see all that fog go. I'm going back to bed.
What the heck? You know what? Fog is way better than snow.
I don't mind snow anymore.
Oh, I do. I'm too old for that
I don't mind
nonsense.
snow anymore. Well,
No.
so why don't you move down south then?
Because it's down south.
So?
Oh, no.
Hit the Carolinas. The property would be cheap.
Right now, it's already been pre-cleared. Yeah, it's a little damp, however.
Yeah. I actually, a friend of ours, former dispatcher, just moved down there because her dad moved down there in his retirement. And she moved down there and got a job and everything, and she's hunkered down. But she was a bit inland, so she said they just got a lot of wind.
Even Myrtle Beach, I don't think, was hit that bad.
No, because it weakened enough.
And it cut north a little bit. So they got a lot of water, a lot of rain over the last 2 days. Now, I understand.
Measured in feet, not inches.
Wilmington, I read this morning, Wilmington, North Carolina, is literally cut off.
Yes.
You know, they're an island right now, and you can't get in or out. They're actually going to be airlifting supplies in because there's 110,000 people and there's no food.
Yeah. Well, hey, these things, natural disasters still happen.
Yes, they do. And hurricanes are nothing to mess with.
Not ones that move at 2 miles an hour.
and just kind of sit there dropping rain.
And this is still a huge rainmaker.
I can't even imagine. Well, we'll find out about that tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they were expecting. They've already put up a flash flood watch. Mm-hmm. So that means heavy rain in a short amount of time. That's a flash flood. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to get whacked by this too. But there's no wind associated with it per se anymore.
No. No, there's no center of circulation per se. It's just a whole bunch of water.
It's a rainmaker, yeah. It's a rainmaker.
But tomorrow's a washout. It's going to be really nasty. So the
good thing I mowed my lawn.
So I'm thinking the Red Sox Yankees opener tomorrow not going to happen.
Yeah, whether it be here or New York.
Either way, there's no way that game is getting played. But
see, it's just like my 2011 story.
Red Sox. All they need is one win against the Yankees to lock up the AL East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting out of Fenway, I don't remember the last time you went.
Last time I went was a Paul McCartney concert, and I think that was 3 years ago. And
so 40,000 plus.
40,000 plus, and the same deal. We parked at Riverside, took the tee in.
Yep.
And took the tee back out, and I will say,
did you exit immediately or did you wait?
We exited immediately.
Okay, because like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
by the time the concert.
And there was a very heavy flow of pedestrian traffic. Walking down.
Did you walk to the Fenway stop or back to Kenmore?
No, Fenway stop.
Okay,
the Fenway stop.
Because that's a bit of a hike. That's a bit of a hike from the stadium.
Well, so's Kenmore.
No,
not quite as bad.
Yeah, it's because it's right over the bridge, really.
Yes, right. The Mass Ave, not Mass Ave,
Mass
but
Pike. You go over the Mass Pike.
What is that? Beacon Street?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Beacon Street Bridge, and then because I went to college right there in Kenmore Square. Long time, long.
And the Green Line still looked like the Green Line.
And the Green Line. It was the old cars too, the old trolley style cars.
Yep.
Those were the days. They were creaky and slow, but they got you where you wanted to go for a quarter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now it's a little bit more than that.
It's more than a quarter. Yeah.
But yeah, so getting out wasn't. So what we did, we kind of played it smart. Like apparently, more than a few people. We just went to dinner right on Lansdowne Street.
Good thinking.
Well, we walked into the Lansdowne pub, and we must have got there right in time because there was like 5 people in the place. or 10 people in the
Now,
place.
this is after the game, or
right after the game.
Okay.
We went out the garage doors in left field under the Monster, out onto Lansdowne Street, and we were going to walk over to Tasty Burger on the other side because they're great. The burgers are unbelievable over there. But my girlfriend was like, "Let's just go into the pub and we'll go have food in there because it's all good food there anyways."
Yeah, sure.
Walked in there, got seated. Within 15 minutes, the place was full.
Oh yeah. What time? What time? This is.
It was about 10 after 4, quarter after 4.
Right. Okay.
Most people were piling in for the Patriots game.
Okay. Oh, they wanted to watch it there on the.
Yeah, on the big
Okay,
screen
sure.
and the multiple screens around the bar and the pub. And so they were piling in for the Patriots game. We just wanted to have dinner and wait out the rush heading out to Riverside. And so we walked back to Kenmore, and people were kind of telling us, don't walk to Fenway. I didn't know where the stop was in relative to and you can't find it on your GPS.
Right.
So I'm going to go where I know where I can go.
Mm-hmm.
We got discouraged because the first car that pulled up was just a single Green Line train, and it was full. I mean, full.
Yeah.
And nobody got off. They kept going. So now we're waiting through 2 other trains that come for the C Line. Next Green Line train comes up for Riverside, and it's packed, right? And I'm like, oh, crap. We're going to have to squeeze into this thing. Doors open and everybody piles out.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, they're all changing trains.
Yeah.
Like a lot of college kids, so they must have been going back to BC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right. So it piled out so much that we ended up getting a seat.
Perfect.
I'm like, all the way to Riverside. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like, that doesn't happen.
Excellent.
But yeah, so that traveling in Boston can be interesting on a game day. But thank God there was no Patriots game, no home game.
Right. One might
argue.
argue there was no Patriots game. I don't know who those guys were.
Now that we transition, yes.
Yeah, oh my Lord, what an awful football game.
I watched the first.
Unless you're
quarter.
a Jacksonville fan, and then it was terrific.
They got no pressure on Bortles. I mean, nothing.
No.
And he can look really good when has all day in the pocket.
I don't remember the last time I saw the Patriots look that bad. They looked awful.
Yeah, it's almost like they were just kind of like not. They weren't in sync at all.
No.
The offense did a little bit. There was Sony Michel looked pretty good.
Brady had no pass protection to speak of.
They have a good defensive line though.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's defense is that good. They really are that good. I mean, they gave them all they could handle last year in the AFC Championship game.
The good thing is I'm not really that much of a football fan, so this is like, yeah, okay. No, I'm a serious baseball fan. I will watch.
Oh, I know.
I will watch any baseball game. There's a baseball game on, great, I'll watch it. I don't even care what teams are playing. I'll watch the baseball game. Football, it's like I'll follow it until the Patriots are out of it, and then I don't care.
See, the thing about baseball is we sat, just going back to the game, we sat in section 90. We had box seats. Mm-hmm. Really, these are good now. Like row GG, like not very far up from the field, right?
Okay.
But unfortunately, we were at a nexus point that we discovered.
Yeah.
So coming up out of the ramp, you can either go down into three different lower box seats, or you can come up. And everybody seems to come up. They don't take the stairs to the grandstands and come down. No, they all come up the ramp and come up. And then when they get to the top of the ramp, they're looking at their tickets going, I
wonder where I am.
The attendant is nowhere to be found because she's wherever. And they're looking at their tickets, and they're there, and they're right in your sight line. You can't see squat. So at about the third inning, most of the people in my area started, just keep moving, yelling at these people. Keep moving.
Don't stop here.
Don't stop
here.
And also because it's a good spot to shoot the green monster as a picture.
Oh.
You become photo central for selfies and pictures and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, they should put like markers down so they don't block the people in the stands. But we had a great shot right down the right field line. I mean, we were 10 feet inside the pole. Mm-hmm. And when we were watching the game, there was nobody walking in front of you. It was great.
Okay.
That was only about 2 innings.
Well, I would.
I actually tweeted the Red Sox. I was kind of because what they should do is they should hold the people there when there's an at bat going on, and then in between at bats or in between innings, free reign. But the attendant should not be like walking people up to their seats. She should be stopping people in the ramp like they do for hockey games.
Right.
You only move his whistle.
If Jacob deGrom was playing for anyone but the Mets, he'd probably be a Cy Young contender.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great, unbelievable
but
pitcher.
The Mets are just. This has been. Now, whenever I'm not a Red Sox fan, I'm a Mets fan. That's just.
Yeah, because of your wife. Yeah, I get it.
Because my wife.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the Mets. I like to watch the Mets most of the time. This year's been painful.
Yeah, they couldn't get a lot of offense going. And even when they did, it was, they had to review a play of the tag at home.
Mm-hmm.
That was close.
That was close.
Close enough for a review.
Yeah.
He missed them, but it was close.
Anyway, hey, it's 6:30, so let's take a short break. Whoa, that got loud quick.
No, it's my mouse is giving me trouble this morning.
Okay.
Sorry.
Try again.
Like a fool, I went and stayed too long. I'm wondering if your love's still strong. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours. Here I am, baby. Oh, you got my future in your hands. Here I am, baby. You got my future in your hands. I've done a lot of foolish things that I really didn't mean. Didn't I? Oh, baby. Seen a lot of things in this old world. When I touch them, there is nothing, girl. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. I'm yours. Ooh, wait, baby, you set my soul on fire. That's why I know you're my only desire. Ooh, baby, here I am, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. Here I am, baby. Whoa, you got my future in your hands, baby. Here I am, baby. You got my future in your hands, baby. Yeah, I've done a lot of foolish things that I really didn't mean. I could be a broken man, but here I am. With your future, got a future, babe. Here I am, baby. Here I am, baby. I know this good. Oh, baby, here I am, baby.
89.5 WSKB.
Waiting for the break of day. Feeling like I ought to sleep. Spinning room is sinking deep. Searching for something to say. Waiting for the break of day. 250624. 250624.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, this is By George. It's Monday. George Delisle and Pete Coles here. On a fairly somber note this morning, I wanted to make note of the fact that the vice chair of the Westfield School Committee, Attorney Kevin Sullivan, apparently passed away very suddenly yesterday. My understanding is he suffered a heart attack, and that's a real loss. That's a real loss, and condolences to all of the Sullivan family.
Yeah.
This has got to be really, really tough on them, and tougher on them than the rest of us. But it's a loss for the city. Kevin's a great guy.
Yeah. And I haven't reached out to anybody yet because I just, it's not. I don't think it's appropriate to,
No.
They know that there are people out there thinking about him, and if they need to call for anything, obviously you just make phone calls and people do things,
Yeah.
or at least most people do. But I know, I mean, I had, my boss, that's my boss, his brother. So it's like, you don't know what to say.
No. And
Not when somebody, I mean, my first thought was, is there any illness? And there's no. I couldn't think of anything. And you talk to the guy, you see him in the hallway or out somewhere. Hey, what's going on, man?
This is a young, vigorous man. And it just, what a terrible shame. I was tipped off yesterday. And I won't say who tipped me off, but
yeah, and we know it's public now, so that's why we're talking about it.
And I know it's in the Westfield News today. And it's on the Westfield News website now.
Already, yeah.
Yeah, it's already out there. But that's just it's a terrible loss.
Well, and I know he was a hardworking guy on the school committee. I mean, he did a lot of yeoman's work on there to get things moving and kind of did, I know that he was a consensus builder on the school committee. So that's a tough
Well,
loss
that's
for the
kind
city.
of that's kind of the Sullivan family's whole thing.
Consensus building?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not contentious. They're not contentious. Consensus, and they're and what. That's a family like the Knappich. The Knappichs and the Sullivans are kind of the
political families,
the political royal families of Westfield. But they're both, even though they represent for the most part opposite political parties.
Sure,
they still are. They're people who like to bring a lot of voices to the table and reach consensus and come to agreements that everybody can live with. And losing that voice on the school committee and losing that talent for the city, that's going to affect all of us.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Anyway,
I agree with that.
Anyway, so our I hate this phrase. I'm going to say it anyway. Thoughts and prayers with the.
Well, and that's true.
With the family.
That's true.
Because these are our friends.
Yeah, and you don't know what to say. You know what I mean?
There's.
You don't.
Really,
there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing you can say.
But so anyway, Brian and Bo and Rick and the rest of the Sullivan family, we're thinking about you, and anything any of us can do to help support you through this difficult time, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
So we were talking off air about.
Your travel schedule?
My travel schedule, which is getting really, really interesting. This mightn't be the appropriate time to mention that next week's By George is probably the last show I'll be able to do. Unfortunately, my new job as a Kiwanis International trustee is and this was not entirely unanticipated, but
you thought you could balance it.
I thought I could balance it, and it's become apparent that I don't have time to do that job well.
I kind of thought
this job well.
When you first got elected, I was like, well, okay, his days are numbered.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be immediate, and I was like, all right, well, he's giving it a shot, see what happened. Yeah. But I mean, you've been to the New Jersey convention, and the problem is and the people that help you with the show don't have the time either to commit to taking it over.
Right. Well, now Amanda Brodkin, who we're going to try. We're going to shoot for one last extravaganza next Monday.
Have to have Jillian back. Make sure she can be here.
If I can get Jillian here and get Amanda here and maybe Mikey and maybe Steve, get the usual cast of characters. But let's get everybody in here, and we might have an election-related guest. I'm working on that. But I'd like to go out with a bang, as it were. But to do this kind of radio well requires an enormous amount of preparation.
Yes.
And that's why today we are not doing this show well, because
we're just
kind of hanging out. Yeah,
we're winging it.
Because I've so many. Well, okay. Last week I had 3 Kiwanis meetings. One in Westfield and one in Northampton and one in Pittsfield.
Right.
Plus a whole lot of report writing and a whole lot of phone calling and a lot of other things that are going on in between. And this is without even doing anything.
Hey, do you miss your real job?
My real job was, my real job was great because I had an office and I had a telephone and I had a copy machine.
Yes.
And I could do that job in my sleep for all practical purposes.
Do you miss your real job?
Yeah, sort of. It was. It's been interesting. I heard that stuff from people for years.
Yes.
Oh, when you retire, you're going to be more busy than ever. And I just kind of laughed at it. And then I retired.
How does that happen? This is what you were used to. You were
I know how it happens. It happens because and my wife will be the first to tell you, I don't know how to say no.
I'm learning how to say no.
Yeah, I need to.
I'm doing this at a young age, so I know how to do it.
I need to develop that skill because it really is, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of demands on my time, but the reason those demands are there is because I let them be there. They're all voluntary. I can't.
Right.
No one is putting an obligation on me at this point in my life that I haven't freely chosen to accept.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, Bob Plass. Can you do Pumpkin Fest again? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure.
Well, so this,
that kind of thing, or don't go to Harry Rock, man.
No.
Don't go.
I actually listened to that advice, so I see Harry coming, and I kind of scoot off in another direction. It's
I already got volunteered for the parade committee because I got to cover it. So I figured I might as well show up for these meetings and figure out what I'm getting myself into.
Right.
In advance.
Right.
I usually don't do that, and then I kind of show up and figure it out.
So next week we'll have a final show. The Monday after that, I have to be in Indianapolis.
Oh, for training?
My first board meeting. The first Kiwanis International board meeting is that first week in October, and it's all week. I mean, it's all week. It's all week.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I'm sitting on two committees. I'm sitting on the Finance Committee and the Public Relations Committee.
Oh, finance!
Yeah,
good Lord, that's a big one.
That's a big one. And so,
how'd you get put on finance as a newbie?
Because the president said you're on the Finance Committee.
Okay.
And okay.
Oh, that's because you were a treasurer at one point.
No, I don't think he did a lot of reading up on my background.
Oh.
Let's get the guy who doesn't know how to add 2 and 2 and come up with 4 and put him on the Finance Committee.
So you're the visionary.
Look, I was a reporter for a long time. I can read a balance sheet. Mm-hmm. I can read a financial report. I understand budgeting. I've done these things. I am not an expert, but I'm functional.
Right. You're not an accountant.
No. And Kiwanis International employs some really good professional accountants to do that end of the thing.
Yeah.
So
they're providing you with
fine
summaries, executive summaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there will be a day of Finance Committee meeting, and there will be a day of Public Relations Committee meeting, and then there will be a day of the Committee of the Whole, where everybody gets into a room.
Because you're doing your budget for the next year, is that what it is?
Yeah, among other things, and then it'll wrap up with the actual board meeting, and the actual board meeting should essentially be voting to accept the recommendations of the committees.
Sure.
That have already been decided on.
Right.
So they've got a pretty good, what looks to me like a fairly efficient process. But there's also there's several dinners. Well, there's dinner every night.
Yeah.
I think the wives. This is a weird situation because there is right now there's one woman on the board.
Okay.
One woman, which is ridiculous. I mean, we've had 2 women as international presidents over the last 5 years, and yet there's only one woman on that international board, which is ridiculous. It's my dear friend Katrina Barranco from Georgia, and I'm delighted that she's there because we've known each other for a long time.
How many people on the board do you know?
All of them. Oh, all of them. I know every single member of that.
So you're comfortable talking with them,
absolutely,
things like that, and dealing with?
Well, some more than others.
Right.
I mean, some of them are like Katrina is a very close personal friend, but the three of us were elected in Las Vegas.
Right.
Myself and Katrina and Ron Smith. Ron is from the Southwest District, and I really didn't know Ron before. But
right.
We spent like 3 days together at training, and this guy's a riot. I absolutely think he's going.
So a new
great.
fast friend.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gotcha.
But most of the folks who get to that level in Kiwanis, you don't do that. You're not a new Kiwanian if you're doing that.
Right? Yeah, sure.
You have to be a past governor to even run. You have to be a past governor of your district. So. Most people who are past governors have also had some other Kiwanis job. Like I was the Builders Club administrator for 5 years. Now that means I was the liaison between International and the New England district for Builders Club, which is the junior high school level of Kiwanis.
Yep.
So I had that job. If you have a job like that, you get to know all the other what we call service leadership program administrators. So I know almost all of the Key Club administrators and the Circle K administrators and the Builders Club administrators because we get together once a year for like 2 days and
kind
confer.
of have a retreat type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was district secretary for 2 years, so I know all of the district secretaries all around the Kiwanis world because we get together once a year, and usually in January, and do some planning for the following year's district convention. So you get to know people actually pretty well in a fairly short period of time. So one of the reasons this whole job is fun for me is because I get to see a lot of my friends.
Yeah, like renewing stuff you don't get to see people for a while. It's like visiting the cousin you haven't seen in a while.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
And, and it's a lot of fun. And most of these people are very dedicated to the organization and very dedicated to the kids that we serve. And it's fun to see.
I mean, just to run for an office like that, you have to be.
No, you just have to be crazy.
Well,
That's my wife.
You describe most politicians too, but
well, that's not necessarily crazy in a good way. But
I know. But I mean, I'm just saying you have to be completely into it. You can't do it.
Oh no!
If you're half into Kiwanis, you're kind of like me with the Elks.
Well, and it's what's fun is I paid my. By the way, I paid my Elks dues. I
got to pay mine too.
I got the letter from Brother Poochie.
Yeah, I know. I got mine too.
Yeah, I got mine, and I said, "Oh, geez, Richard, I'm sorry."
Yeah,
I'll
I
get
forgot.
it right.
I completely forgot about it. I was like, "Oh, that's right. This year I got to pay."
Yeah. So I am an elk.
I'm just saying you really have to be dedicated to the cause. I mean, there's some people that have the time to do it, and there's some people that don't. And there's some people that don't and make the time.
As I've said for years, some guys collect baseball cards, and some guys collect stamps, and some guys golf. I do Kiwanis. This is my fun, and you don't do something like this to the level that I like to do it unless you really have to enjoy what you're doing.
Well, it's like me in space, same thing.
Space,
rocket launches, space, things like that. Yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's a hobby you love, and you're willing to spend the time and put in the time to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, if anybody's listening and thinks I'm insane, come to a Kiwanis meeting every Thursday.
He gets the plug in.
Every Thursday, 6:05 p.m. Over at Tucker's in Southwick, and you can come and see for yourself how nuts I am. How's that? 572-5579, 572-5579. We have a telephone. We're taking calls. We wish somebody would call because Pete and I are getting sick of talking to each other.
Yeah, well, I've done this before.
Yeah, I know.
Me and Tina are good at it, but she's got all those announcements. So she brings a folder of about 50 or 60 community announcements, and she never gets to all of them. We can do a 2-hour show just me and her.
Hey, by the way, don't come to Kiwanis this Thursday because we won't be there.
No?
This is our annual officer installation extravaganza, and that will be on Friday instead of Thursday. Yes. And it's kind of a big deal. And
was it last year the anniversary year?
Last year was the 95th anniversary.
You did a big thing around
that. We did a big thing, but we always try to do a big thing for our installation night. We like to make a big deal out of that. There's a lot of awards that are going to be given out.
Okay.
We used to do the big award. The big award is the Kiwanian of the Year, and we used to hold that as a state secret right until the night of the event, and then it dawned on somebody, and I think it was Kelly Brown who pointed out that if you do it that way, then the person who's being honored can't have all of their friends and family come to see them get the honor because they don't know about it. And we said, oh, that actually makes sense. So Kevin O'Connor, past president of our club and vice president of Westfield Bank, is our Kiwanian of the Year this year. And I understand there's a couple of tables. So about 20 people coming.
It's always a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a cool thing, and it's fun to watch. And Kevin will be getting his official Kiwanis red jacket, which is the ugliest thing in the world. I mean, you put this thing on, it looks like you should be parking cars. But it's a big deal for us. So Kevin gets his.
How many former red jacket winners are going to be there and in the red jacket?
All of them. Well, most of them. How many people wear them? Most of them. They wear them to these events.
The big events.
The big events, and but it's strictly a New England thing. So
Really?
Yes. So the red jacket represents a $1,000 contribution to the Kiwanis Foundation of New England.
Oh,
It's a charitable contribution, and it goes into the endowment fund from which we fund the Kiwanis Pediatric Trauma Institute at Tufts Medical Center in Boston.
Okay.
Okay. So all of that money goes into this endowment, and it sits there
You grow the endowment.
forever. Yeah. And we grow the endowment, and we use the interest from the endowment to fund KPTI, which funds not just operations but also research. And I dare say KPTI's research and development has probably saved hundreds of thousands of children's lives over the course of the last 50 years, because they've developed most of the advanced techniques and equipment that's used all around the world now for the treatment of pediatric trauma. It turns out you can't treat an injured child the same way you treat they're not just little adults.
No, you can't even do CPR the same way on a child that you...
Right.
And it's graduated. It's infant, child, adult.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of that came out of the research done at KPTI. And KPTI has been copied by other Kiwanis districts. California has a big pediatric trauma center that they established, their foundation established after doing a study of what we had done here in New England.
Think about New England and Boston. How many children's specific medical?
Oh, there's the floating hospital, which is where KPTI is,
Yep.
and then there's the Boston Children's Hospital, and
there's Dana-Farber Cancer Center.
Dana-Farber Cancer Center.
Think about all that in Boston. How much children's stuff there is. It's amazing.
Just think: is there a larger concentration of medical expertise anywhere in the world?
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, not even New York.
No.
It is remarkable, and we are fortunate to live in a state where there is so much medical expertise and so many resources so close to hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But none of that stuff is free. And,
no, I know.
It
listen,
costs money.
When I was down at the World Series, there was a day where I was experiencing chest pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the hospital for just under 24 hours.
Oh.
So we can take. Good morning. You can turn on your radio, but go ahead, caller.
Oh, good morning, George and Peter. This is Dan Knappich.
Hi,
Good
Dan.
morning. How are you, Dan?
Good, George. Is that true that you're leaving the show?
It is. It is. I'm sad to say, but I don't have the time to do this job the way it deserves to be done. And let's face it, the entire month of October is totally shot. I have to be in Indianapolis for a week, and then we come back from there, and Gina and I are going to Italy for a while because I'm retired and I can do that.
Well, I just wanted to, if that was true, and now that you've confirmed that, I just wanted to pass on my great job done by the Morning George team, because I've enjoyed listening since the time you've started. It's been great to hear about all the wonderful things that you've been doing in your retirement and with Kiwanis. And I'm one of those persons who, always was in awe of you anyways, as it relates, because when you had a full-time job, you were going, all out on Kiwanis too, and could never understand how you could do it all and accomplish it and do a great job at everything you did. So congrats on that. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you come back to the shows, and be a guest now and then.
Well, actually, Pete and I
I've already recruited him.
Yeah, we're talking about some options. Maybe something monthly or a little bit less tight schedule. But I'm not going anywhere.
That's great. That's
All
great
right.
to hear.
Well, thank you.
You really made my Monday mornings cheery on the way down to the Cape. So.
Well, Dan,
He likes it when we spar.
I really, which is all the time. So that's great.
That's fun, yeah.
Dan, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from somebody like you who has devoted so much time and so much energy to making the city a better place. So I do appreciate the kind words.
Absolutely. And if I know, I heard you mention that Kevin Sullivan had passed away yesterday. I've known Kevin since I was a child, and all I can say is he is one of the most top-notch human beings I've ever met, and I know it's absolutely brutal, and the city has lost a wonderful son, father, and a husband. And I feel very fortunate to have known him and been able to work with him side by side. But like I said, he and Bo were in my age bracket. Bo and I were classmates together, and Kevin was 1 year above us. And from the time we were probably 8 or 9 or 10 playing pickup basketball, I've known him, and he's nothing but he was a quality guy, and I'll miss him dearly.
Oh, boy. Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate the phone call, and as we said earlier, our hearts just go out to the Sullivan family. This is a tough loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, gents, you carry on. And, George, safe travels.
Thank you,
I'll be
sir.
looking forward to an update.
All right, you will get one. Thanks again.
Okay.
Take
Take care.
now.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, that was good, and that takes us to 7 o'clock. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
And the sign said, long-haired freaky people need not apply. So I tucked my hair up under my hat and I went in to ask him why. He said, you look like a fine, upstanding young man. I think you do. So I took off my hat. I said, imagine that, me working for you. Whoa, sign, everywhere a sign, blocking out your scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that. Can't you read the sign? The sign said anybody caught trespassing would be shot on sight. So I jumped on the fence and I yelled at the house, hey, what gives you the right to put up a fence to keep me out or to keep Mother Nature in? If God was here, he'd tell you to your face, man, you're some kind of sinner. Sign, everywhere a sign, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the sign?
Now, hey, you mister, can't you read? You got to have a certain time to get a seat.
You can't even watch, no, you can't eat.
You ain't supposed to be here.
Sign said you got to have a membership card to get inside. The sign said everybody welcome, come in, kneel down and pray. But when they passed around the plate at the end of it all, I didn't have a penny to pay. So I got me a pen and a paper, and I made up my own little sign. I said, thank you, Lord, for thinking about me. I'm alive and doing fine. Woo! Sign, everywhere a sign, blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the sign? Sign, everywhere a sign.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group,
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Hey, by George, it is Monday. 572-5579 is the telephone number. Don't let Dan Knappich be the only caller today. Come on.
Right.
You can do it. Pick up the phone and give us a call.
Sure.
George Delisle and Pete Cole's here for your Monday morning, and Pete's going to tell us the sad tale of how the power went out in the radio station.
So we need to apologize to the listeners that tuned on 89.5 like Saturday into Sunday, and you got dead carrier for most of that period of time because I got a message. See, the emergency alert receiver will send out a message if an event happens, like it gets an alert or it reboots.
Okay.
So I get a message. Okay, yes, rebooted. All right, good. So I give it about 5 minutes or so. I figured all the computers rebooting. And I turn on the radio station and I hear music.
Okay.
Great. Everything's working.
Okay.
So usually before I go to bed, no, it was Friday into Saturday. Usually before I go to bed, I do a spot check to see if I can hit the computers here so I can put the polka on Saturday mornings. If I can remote in, I can accomplish all those tasks. Don't see the computer. I'm like, well, maybe my computer got stuck with a Windows update or something that's happened before. It gets stuck and it doesn't, reboot. I'm like, all right, well, I got to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning now, like a normal day. Be in here for 6 o'clock and manually turn on the polka music and get everything re-situated. So at 10 minutes to 6, I walk in the door and I don't hear any music playing. Looking around, going, all right. So I look in the window as I'm walking in the door, and the computer monitor that normally has the automation system on it is dark.
Uh-oh.
And it never times out, so it shouldn't go dark.
Right.
So I look at the computer, and I'm like, well, I wonder if that's hung up. The computer was off.
Oh.
Yeah, off.
Off.
Apparently, the BIOS had been set that it didn't have last power state. It had on restore power off. So I fixed that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, last power state. I mean, if you're turning it off to work on it or something.
Those of you who are not geeks at all, have another cup of coffee. It's fine.
Yeah, no, this is to explain it in layman's terms. You can actually set that when the computer detects power, it either turns on, stays off, or decides the last time I was on after a power failure, I was on.
Right.
So I go back on. So that's the layman's term. So I made that setting change. We had never done that before. Usually you have a blip up here and nothing really affects it. So
okay.
Apparently we're not on the generator though.
Okay. So the rest of the building is?
I don't know what's on the generator here. I really don't.
Right. Okay.
Probably have to figure that one out, but I don't think we're on the generator because, well, we would have a short power outage, but yeah, whatever. So I came in here and now I'm trying to restore it, and this computer system is interesting because it's set up to be for big radio companies like multiple stations and things like that, where you have a central server and your music and traffic, meaning that the spots are coming from a central server. Well, we don't have that here because we're small. We're a small shop,
right?
So everything's hosted on the same computer. Well, if the computer doesn't realize it's the network part of it is internal, then it goes into this thing called emergency mode.
Okay.
Where it doesn't play like it normally does, and you can't load breaks and you can't load It'll pull songs, but that's hard too. And
Ain't technology wonderful?
yes.
Yeah.
So I informed the chief engineer, because I'm just kind of like, I'm here, but he knows I have a clue, that we have problems, and he was working on another project, so he hasn't been here yet to fix it.
That would be
And the fix that he gave
Brother
me,
Tracy?
yes, the
Yeah.
fix that he gave me, it doesn't work. Yes.
Okay.
So we'll have to have a powwow session next couple of days before I run out of logs to play music, because then it'll become real interesting.
I'm so glad I'm retired.
Yes.
Honest to God. It's like we used to have, now this isn't, in the olden days of computing,
Yes.
it's not even the real old days, because the real old days we were running all DEC 1184s and,
Yep. Terminal mode.
antique computers, but
Yes.
but in more recent times we a lot of Windows servers and a lot of Unix servers and a couple of Linux boxes.
Yep.
And we had in the newspapers what we used to call the computer room, but now it's the data center.
Sure.
Yeah. Actually had
Have you ever been to the city's data center?
I have not. I have not.
I should
But we had
try to arrange you a tour. You'd actually
So
like
we had a big honking UPS bank of UPSs.
Yep.
To at least keep all of the computers running long enough to shut them down clean.
Yep.
Because
That's the whole point, yeah.
that's the whole point. Because I don't know if you know this, ladies and gentlemen, but computers really, really get upset when you just turn the power off.
Yeah, the Windows has gotten a lot more tolerant of that.
Well,
over
and the
years.
hardware has as well. I mean, it used to be the old hard drives, the old storage units used to be susceptible to what was called a head crash.
Head crash, yeah.
And what that means is if you can picture an aluminum platter with a thin oxide coating on it spinning several thousand times a minute.
Yep.
And just above the surface of that platter is a magnetic read-write head. It's a piece of paper, a piece of metal on an arm. Now imagine, if you will, that head crashing into the oxide coating on that spinning wheel while it is spinning at 6,400 times a minute. The results are not pretty, because what it does is it digs a furrow, or worse. And once that happens, that hard drive isn't good for anything ever again.
No, really, you can get around it for a short period of time to get the data off of it, but that's about
Sometimes, not every time. Yeah. Now with the advent of solid-state storage, that's not a problem anymore.
Well, even the newer hard drives, the magnetic thing it's set to spin down or something.
What happens is those heads instantaneously, on a power loss, the heads instantaneously lock in an up position away from the platter. So there's a lot less likelihood that will happen. But there are more and more places that are turning to solid-state, large-scale solid-state storage.
Yeah, that can be expensive right now.
It is
still.
expensive. It absolutely is expensive. On the other hand, it's cheaper than losing your data.
True. Yeah, on a big scale it is.
Also, it means everything's going to run faster.
Yep.
So,
chips move a lot faster.
I have a terabyte SSD in my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't cheap. It probably cost about $400.
Yep.
Which is a lot more than a comparable terabyte
you get
hard
it for
drive.
$89.
Yeah. Now, I'm old enough to remember when I was being told by an engineer that a terabyte of storage was physically impossible.
Yes.
Yeah, couldn't be done.
Right.
Would never happen.
Right.
And now it's like, yeah.
Well, you and I come from the days of when a 20 megabyte hard drive was enormous.
I just saw
Windows 3.1.
You've seen this. There's a picture that circulates on Facebook all the time of a gigantic forklift truck loading this enormous box onto a cargo plane, and the box it's got to be 12 feet high, and I mean it's just huge. It was the original IBM 5 megabyte
Right.
hard drive.
Right.
And it weighed a ton. I mean, it literally weighed a ton. 5 megabytes. Now, just for purposes of comparison, if you have a smartphone in your pocket,
Yes.
your smartphone probably handles
Minimum 16 gig.
minimum 16 gig. So what? 16 million times more
Yes.
than that. Yeah, and that's just a little card in your phone that you store your photos on.
Oh, that's the chip on the phone.
Yeah.
That's the internal storage.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a 64 gig. That's
Yeah.
probably bigger than that.
Android, yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a mini card in here that
Yeah, sure, yeah.
gives you
That's expanded storage.
that's expanded storage.
Expanded storage was you built that second building.
Yeah, exactly. You did. People used to talk about core storage. Everybody knows what core storage is, except nobody really knows what core storage is. It was actually this network, crisscross wires, and there were little ferrite cores, little ring at the confluence of each of these wires, and that ring could be charged or discharged, and that represented 1 byte of data, on or off. And core storage was insanely expensive.
Yep.
And insanely huge, but that was the state of the art for a long
My
time.
aunt worked at the Travelers in the 50s. She was one of the first female computer scientists.
Okay.
And she remembers, she tells stories. She used to tell me stories when I was a kid about an entire floor of the Travelers building to be a 64K computer.
64K.
They'd have
Wow.
at least a dozen people running, replacing tubes
Oh, sure.
consistently because, every couple of minutes a tube would blow and the computer would go down
Wow.
to keep it running.
Wow.
And then she went to work for NASA and the Goddard Space Flight Center
Ooh.
and helped write code for Gemini.
Wow.
So, I mean, she
That goes back a bit.
Yeah, she lived in Huntsville, Alabama for a couple of years.
That's amazing. Hey, listen, it's quarter after, it's actually 7:17. We'll be back after a short break.
My sweet Lord, my Lord, my Lord. I really want to see you, really want to be with you, really want to see you, Lord, but it takes so long, my Lord, my sweet Lord. My Lord, my Lord, I really want to know you.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Placek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
He rules the roost on Thursday from 6 till 10. It's Patrick Berry.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
A good Monday morning, George DeLisle, Pete Coles here with you on By George.
We may make
Monday.
it to the end.
We might make it to the end. 572-5579. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. And you only got this week and next week to talk to me, and then I won't be here.
Yeah, they got to figure out something.
Yeah.
I'll call Rob Goff.
We'll figure something out.
Hey, Rob Goff, you listening?
Yeah.
You want to upgrade back to your old slot?
So, I'm sorry, guys, but
Actually, you know what? That might actually work out well because they're coming up. They're going to be doing October 13th. We'll just throw the plug out there as part of the Westfield 350.
Oh.
Agawam Paranormal has done investigations at 4 sites in the city of Westfield.
Okay.
And they've gotten some great results.
Okay.
One of the sites we revealed on his show last week, the Women's Club.
Yeah.
Which is where they will be holding their reveal, as it were, on October 13th at 1 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
Okay.
You can also do a dinner if you'd like to sign up for the dinner. I believe it's $35 for the dinner.
Okay.
As a fundraiser for the Westfield 350. And you have priority seating for the 8 o'clock presentation.
Well, okay then.
And if you hear the stories about the Women's Club, well, they might be true.
Okay.
Like that teaser?
Sure.
So they'll be doing their reveal, and if you saw their presentation a couple of years ago at the Senior Center, they don't tell you that spirits exist, but they give you pretty decent evidence that they just might.
Okay then.
You might have to go because I know you're a skeptic.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you might have to go because you might be interested in one of the locations.
Okay.
I might tell you off the air.
Hey,
I will not tell everybody on the air.
By the way, Ken McGarian is we all know Ken.
Yep.
Been associated with Westfield State University for a very long time. Ken is shopping a book. He's looking for an agent. He's written a book about the 1930 something murder in a home on Western Avenue. One of those big old Victorian, there was a murder, and it was never solved.
Is that the one that Mike McCabe talks about?
Yes.
He just talks about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken has written, and I've read an early version of the book. It's really good. Ken has done an enormous amount of research, and it's well written. And I've heard Ken do a presentation on this thing. But I'm hoping that Ken is going to get an agent pretty quickly. And I know he's been talking to different audiences around town about the book and about the murder. Mm-hmm. It was I believe it was a Westfield State professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And fascinating. The guy was murdered in his own living room, and it was never solved.
Is that the guy? And maybe I was talking about. There somebody else was. There was a guy that was involved in talking about food. It was something to do with food.
I think it's the same one. Yes.
And he was poisoned, allegedly poisoned, and they weren't sure if it was the companies that did it. There was intrigue about that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I
remember
looked at his manuscript, but it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, this guy was like a pure food guy way back in the 20s or something.
That's right.
20s or 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And he went afoul of the major food industry in the country. And, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
See, I do. My brain still works.
That's it. It retains things.
I know.
That's
it's
amazing.
Shocking. I listen when I sit here all the time.
It'll stop doing that when you get older. Trust me, I know from experience. Hey, speaking of stuff that we talked about before,
yes.
Remember last week we talked about that reports that the people were having their passport renewals refused.
Yep.
Down on, and it was, and at the time the story as it was reported at the time that it was people who had U.S. birth certificates, and that Immigration and Naturalization was questioning whether they were actually born in this country or they might have been born in Mexico.
The validity of the birth certificate.
And all this good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, I have issues with that.
Yep.
This is even more interesting.
Okay.
Because this story's out of Kansas. A woman named Gwyneth Barbara, born and raised in Kansas. That's nowhere near the border. She had a U.S. passport. And when she applied for a renewal, she was told her birth certificate wasn't good enough to prove her citizenship. She was born in a farmhouse in the 1970s in Leavenworth County, Kansas. She had a birth certificate. Her father went to the courthouse. She was born at home.
Okay.
All right. Not unusual in that part of the country.
Not unusual anywhere, actually.
All right. Not at all unusual. Her father went to the courthouse days after she was born to certify her birth. She's got a legitimate birth certificate. The local passport agency accepted her documentation as satisfactory for her passport application. Days later, she received a letter from the Federal Division of the U.S. Passport Agency out of Houston, Texas, telling her her application was denied, demanding further documentation. I have a birth certificate. It was accepted before. Why wouldn't it be accepted again? Barbara explained. The letter stated because her birth certificate was not issued at an institution or a hospital, it was not considered proof enough of her citizenship. So here we have a United States citizen born in Kansas with a legitimate birth certificate, and the passport agency actually trying to retroactively revoke her citizenship because they don't like her birth certificate. This is the best part. They demanded a border crossing card or green card for your parents issued prior to your birth. She says that's ridiculous. Her parents were born in the United States. And then they said, well, how about a family Bible with birth records written in the family Bible? It's the most insane. I'm sorry, Pete. This one strikes me as being totally nuts.
I would agree with that.
After weeks of unreturned phone calls.
That's why I'm with Rusty, though. I don't like a lot of bureaucracy.
Okay,
bureaucracy becomes this crap.
Yep. After weeks of unreturned phone calls and unanswered questions, Barbara contacted U.S. Senator Jerry Moran's office for help. The senator's office launched an inquiry and followed up with another. A few days later, Barbara received her passport in the mail with no explanation.
Well, but that's bureaucracy. I hate bureaucracy. I'm sorry. That's why I hated the Affordable Care Act. Not for the premise, right? But for the bureaucracy.
This is. I'm not even going to argue with you about bureaucracy because it's unfortunately
another thing we agree on.
Unfortunately,
George.
I can't but this.
That's people given rules and doing their job according to the rules. I think that's a bit overzealous on their part. But just like with the Fenway attendant yesterday, right?
Yeah.
She can claim she was just doing her job. When I said, listen, I can't see anything. Also, your seats are so small that I'm going to lose feeling in my legs shortly. Okay? And I asked if I could move. This was now the fifth inning.
Yeah.
Move down to the section where they normally reserve for handicap and companion.
Right.
There was 15 seats there that nobody was there, and they weren't coming.
Okay.
You have to go to
No, no,
fan information, but
Yeah.
and so the bureaucrats are saying that we're just doing our job, given the rules that we were given. Sometimes you have to have discretion.
Discretion. It's a wonderful thing. Hey, we got to take a 7:30 break, don't we? Hey, WSKB 89.5 FM in Westfield. We'll be right back.
I'll be the roundabout. The words will make you out and out. I spend the day your way. Call it morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. The music dance and sing. They make the children really ring. I spend the day your way. Call it morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. In and around the lake. Mountains come out of the sky and they stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. 10 true summers, we'll be there and laughing too. 20, 45 miles, we'll see. I'll be there with you. I'll be the roundabout. The words will make you out and out. You spend the day your way. Call it morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. In and around the lake. Mountains come out of the sky and we stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. 10 true summers, we'll be there and laughing too. 20, 45 miles, we'll see. I'll be there with you.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Hey, by George, it is still Monday, 572-5579, the phone number. George Delisle, Pete Coles here entertaining you on your
Want to hear my quote
Monday
for the day?
morning. Go ahead.
Common sense does not have a party affiliation.
Common sense is the most misnamed thing in the world.
But you like that one?
I do, but there's nothing common about it.
They used to call it horse sense.
They
Yankee
used to.
ingenuity.
It's become a rarity.
Yes.
It's become a rarity. I'm disturbed by the number of people who seem to be unable to or unwilling to assess facts for themselves.
Right. That's why
disturbing.
I voted for John Velas.
It's disturbing.
A Democrat.
I'm sorry. You want to? Oh, okay. All right. Because you assess the facts for yourself.
No, and I assess that he can assess the facts.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. John's.
He is a Democrat I regularly vote for. And so much so that I kind of on the outside of his campaign committee, kind of on the fringes of that.
Good. John's.
I think he's a good man.
John's a good man. He's a good legislator.
Yep.
He's a very bright young man.
What I would call nowadays a throwback, but
Jesus.
He should be the norm.
I remember when all the politicians were older than me. I don't know what the hell happened.
Well,
it's like,
I could say something, but I'll be nice.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's this getting old thing is. As I've said before,
get off my lawn.
The only thing worse, well, I'm getting there. The only thing worse than getting old is not getting old.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you're keeping it young in all the activities you do.
Well, I figure if you keep moving, at least your joints won't lock up.
True.
Yeah. So I was telling you earlier, I have a good friend here in town, and I'm not going to name the name.
Yes, I think this story is actually hilarious.
I'm not going to name the name, but this is a guy I've known for a few years, and he's had me writing his obituary.
He's on the back nine.
He's on the back nine. Well, he's probably getting close to the clubhouse at this point. But
and the funny thing is he realizes it.
Yeah.
And is taking steps to deal with it.
Well, it's interesting.
Not let somebody else deal with it.
Yeah. He wants to control what that story in the newspaper is going to say.
Yeah.
So he provided me with a big envelope full of of clippings and in his own handwritten like 5
notes.
pages of handwritten notes.
How big is this thing going to be?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's like the newspaper is going to make out well on this one.
Okay.
I mean, unless they decided to do it as a news story, which I would encourage. But
if you're doing the local paper, it probably will be a news story.
Yeah, I'm thinking, but it's substantial. It's going to be substantial. I'm thinking it's a good 20-inch, good 20-inch piece. Anyway.
You know what I call that? A life well lived.
Absolutely.
That's what I call that.
It is.
If you're not just a postage stamp, then you've lived a good life.
Yeah. No, it's obituaries are funny though. I mean, when I was a young reporter, the newspaper didn't charge for obituaries in those days. There were two things. There was an obituary, which was free, and there was a paid death notice, which was this little bitty thing in agate type.
Yep.
That it was a separate thing. And somewhere around the 90s, newspapers decided that, wait a minute, we can make money on these things.
That's where Tara Gurton came in.
That's where Tara Gurton came. Oh, Tara!
She's still with my friend Dwight.
Yep.
She's been with him forever.
We're friends on Facebook.
That was her specialty.
That was her specialty.
She knew every funeral home director in the area.
There's one funeral home in the area that drives me nuts because no one dies in their obits.
No,
you didn't die
in memoriam.
You were it's worse. Called safely home.
Oh,
and each of those words is capitalized.
Really?
And they tried, honest to God, to register it as a trademark.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And they were laughed out of the place. They said, yeah, no, go away. But this is every obit they do. No one never dies. They're all called safely home. And I'm saying to myself, if I was safe, I wouldn't be dead.
Right.
So.
And if I was home, I wouldn't be dead.
Yeah. So, just cut it out. Okay. Yeah. So I may have to write my own obituary just to make sure that the word it says died.
Yeah.
Died.
Well, not only that, but talk about controlling the narrative. I love that.
Oh yeah. Well, so anyway, this I did a first draft of this thing and went to visit the gentleman and we reviewed the draft and he wanted a few things changed and So I have to
Yeah,
finish
you went to see your editor.
pretty much. I have to finish up the rewrite, and of course the some of the fine detail is going to have to wait until the appropriate time.
Sure, yeah.
But it'll be in the can, as they say.
I mean, I think that's amazing that somebody thought that much ahead.
Listen, let me say, my father-in-law wrote he had somebody write his obituary 25 years ago. He's still kicking. I mean, he lives in Southwick.
Does he regularly update it?
No, I don't think he's given it a thought for quite a while. You know, Dave Starr, the former publisher of the newspaper.
Yep.
One of the things that the IT department has always done is maintain Dave's obit. I mean, I still have last year's copy sitting somewhere on a thumb drive.
Oh, keep it just in case something happens.
David is like 95 years old, and I'm reasonably sure he's going to outlive me. Okay, Dave. I used to joke with Dave years ago. I joked, Dave, I want you to speak. I want you to say a few words at my retirement party, and we just thought that was funny as hell. Well, he did it.
Sure.
He showed up the day I retired and said a few words, which I thought was priceless. Some people just, Dave Starr. There's an example of a guy who's lived his life on his terms with style.
Yeah.
He's a really, really fascinating guy. One of the best journalists around. There are people in the valley who just hate his guts. They don't like him at all.
Yeah, no, I know.
And
more than a few politicians.
Yeah, and they accuse him of an awful lot of things. But I got to tell you, Dave Starr, in my world, David has always been a gentleman. He's one of the most intelligent human beings I have ever had the pleasure to know. And I've never seen him treat anyone other than with respect and kindness. And I mean anyone, regardless of the station in life. Dave treats everybody respectfully, and that goes a long way with me.
There are legendary stories about stuff with him, too.
Yeah.
Legendary in Springfield politics.
Well, there were legendary stories about his predecessor.
That's why he used to be at odds with Dan York. Dan York used to love taking him on the air.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Dan York has no class that I've ever noticed, but that's neither here nor there.
No,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, but that's his thing.
Oh, I know that's his thing. I know.
And he's made a successful living at it for a long time.
Yeah, he's in Providence now, right?
Oh, God, that was a perfect market for him.
Absolutely. Couldn't be better. Hey, it's 7:45 in the morning. I'm going to take one last break, and we'll be right back.
What do you do when you get lonely? Nobody's waiting.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Hey, bye, George. It's Monday, and we're almost out of here. It's 7:53. That's what I see on the clock. We survived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured we could do that.
Not a lot of phone calls, though. Other than Dan Knappik, God bless him.
We do get along pretty well, though. We can have a nice conversation. It's not contentious or anything.
Nobody dies.
No.
Yeah, it's great. Okay. 572-5579, by the way. Yeah.
WWE Hell in a Cell match or something, where we're tossing each other off windows and whatnot.
No.
That was last night, by the way.
No. You just came up with the best. I mean, we're discussing terrible ideas about remaking TV shows, and Magnum PI is being remade, which in my book doesn't need to be.
Right.
Leave it alone.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But then I said something like about you couldn't remake the Rockford Files without Jim Garner.
Right.
And Pete suggested
Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine that though? That'd be a role just like Jim Garner, with that kind of like offbeat sense of humor.
I might actually watch that. You guys listening at CBS?
I think that would be fun.
Go for it.
They've remade everything else now. I'm waiting for the A-Team to come back.
There is
George Papard.
Yeah, there you go. I love it when a plan comes together.
I even had the phrasing right on that too.
There's yet another remake of A Star Is Born.
Oh boy!
Yeah, this time it's got.
I'm going to turn on Michael's mic. So
Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah. Okay, I saw that. Yeah,
it's like this is at least the fourth.
It's the fourth. The first two, probably the second one with Judy Garland and James Mason was probably the best. But the original with Frederick March, and I can't think of the woman, is also fantastic. The Barbara Streisand, Chris Christopherson one was just horrible.
Yeah.
So, to me, that's your target. Just do better than that one. You're not going to do better than the first two.
No. You're not going to come close.
Yeah. Michael's not a fan of remakes.
I think remakes, generally speaking, are just a terrible idea. Don't care for them.
No, because everybody gets nostalgic about the real one.
You know what? If they did it right the first time, you don't need to do it over.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I was actually happy with the Knight Rider reboot when they did that a couple of years ago. They just didn't give it enough chance.
Kit can't be a Mustang.
Absolutely.
No.
That car looked badass.
That's a terrible idea.
That car looked badass.
Well, but they can't get a Firebird because there aren't any.
Well, there is. Did it ever make?
Well, God bless people who there are companies that are converting Camaros to Trans Ams, and there's been a big push for GM to allow Buick, because Buick does not have any kind of muscle car right now. For Buick to take the Trans Am name, there's a big rumor and push for it, and God knows who knows if that'll happen.
He still's got the GTA.
Yep. I know. And that's great.
The classic.
God bless you.
31 years old. She gets 14 feet per gallon.
Yep.
I love her.
Yeah. That's with a tailwind.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable. What is that? It's carburetor, right? Big 4-barrel or a couple of them?
It's just a 5.0 liter V8. I know that. I can tell you that.
Okay.
If there's something wrong with her, I have other people take care.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So you're a driver. You're not a mechanic.
I'm a driver, and I know the basics of her. But
At one point in my life, I should be ashamed of this, but I owned an Oldsmobile custom cruiser in 1973. Now, this monstrosity was based on the Delta 88. It had, and I'm not making this up, it had a 472 cubic inch V8 engine.
Nice.
It was ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. It could comfortably seat a marching band. Honest to God, it had bench seats, and this thing was so wide and so long. I mean, you needed like 2 parking spaces to park this beast. It was just why I thought this was a good idea, I don't know to this day. But
that's the family truckster that's in the lore of National Lampoon's Vacation.
Pretty much, yeah. It was nuts.
Although my parents had a Country Squire when I was growing up.
Yeah,
a Ford LTD Country Squire.
Yeah, a big old station wagon,
green and with the paneling on the side and everything.
And then all that stuff went away when the minivans came in.
Yes.
And I will say, I went from the custom cruiser got 14 miles to the gallon on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
On the highway.
Yeah, but you do $1.30 with it.
Oh my! I never had the guts to find out how fast that beast would go.
Quickly.
Yeah. My first minivan was a Ford. What the heck was their first minivan? It was the. I can't even remember what it was called. It was
first minivan I drove was a Sahara, but it was like a work utility minivan.
Okay.
Chevy Sahara.
Okay.
I believe Chrysler invented the minivan.
Yeah, the original minivan was the Caravan.
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, the original minivan was the Volkswagen microbus, but that's but that couldn't get out of its own way and had trouble going up hills.
And there's still a few kicking around.
Still a lot of them kicking around. There's still some of the Campmobile conversions. You still see those things.
Yeah,
and,
sure, yeah.
Wow, how did we get into car nostalgia? It's
I don't know.
It's like I've discovered that
Knight Rider, Mustang, Trans Am. I think that's how it is.
Well, you know what?
It's connecting the dots for you.
You know what?
You want to get started early, Michael?
There's well, it's not that early.
It's not early. It's 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 8 o'clock. This is WSKB 89.5 FM in Westfield. We will see you next week. Bye.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State